Nimekuwa na technical issues kidogo, but we're going live now.
Yes.
Okay, we can continue.
We are live now.
Yeah, we can continue, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me welcome you to this forum, this Wednesday forum. Karibu Dhura, Karibu Vincent. Maybe in a minute or two, you can introduce yourselves. Vincent?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening to all the EcoK family. It's an honor, it's a privilege to always be here. I think this is a God-given platform whereby we are reaching out to so many people, especially young men out there, young parents out there who are going through the midlife crisis. So as we have this discussion, that we ought to know that there are so many people who are looking up to us. So we have a responsibility. We are basically like a voice in the wilderness. So we ought to be a voice of hope and a voice of reason. So it is always an honor and a pleasure to be here each and every Wednesday. Looking forward to learn, looking forward to be inspired and, basically share all that we are. Thank you.
Dhura?
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Edwin Duranira. I'm a creative director with the EcoK.
What's up with his network?
I don't know. You come back. Okay, let's continue, Vincent.
Yes.
Karibu. My name is Jane. I am a psychologist, an ongoing psychologist, actually currently at class, and a former banker. Today, our topic is about parenting, and we have 4 issues that we're going to hand off. The first one will be, as a parent, are there days you feel like you failed? Or maybe, if you are not a parent, maybe I want to replace the question. Are there days that you felt maybe your parents failed? The second one is, how is it like raising kids as a single parent? And single parent is not, it has many dimensions. The third one is, how can we handle the loss of a providing parent or a spouse? And then the fourth one is social media influence in parenting and the impact it has on mental health. So, Vincent, I know you are a parent. I would ask, are there days that you felt that you failed? If I would say yes, myself as a parent, I know there are days, actually not like I felt like, I know there are days I actually failed as a parent. That is what I would say. Vincent?
Yes. Let me start by saying that parenting is a privilege from God. Because what God has done, He has bestowed us that privilege and that honor to raise kids. Of course, it's more of a collabo between us and Him.
Yes.
And He believes that we have the capability to raise them to be whom God wants them to be.
Yes.
And maybe to answer your question and continue from there, actually, it's not like each and every day. It's not like one day I felt like I did not rise to the occasion. I would say it is more of like each and every day. Parenting is not an event.
Yeah.
It's a process. Each and every day process. There's no day that you'll call your kids, let's say, John, come here, I start parenting you. No, each and everything that you do entails parenting. In those years that I've been married, I realized that I don't just make decisions. Every time I want to make decisions or to make a choice, I have to consider my family. Yes. And that includes my kids. So parenting is a whole thing. It's a mental, it's a spiritual, and it is a physical thing. So, and as human beings, the way we are desired, we always, at times, especially with the modern working setup, at times you reach home and you just want to chill. But then your boys are there. I have a 3 years old boy. He's all over me asking so many questions. He wants my phone. There's another one who's has issues with his assignment. And for me, I just want to chill. But then parenting, and more so being a father, it entails more than that. It entails about compromising about your taste and your preference and your comfort. It's about investing in them and investing in their whole being. So many other times we fall short of the demand, and at times you feel like you don't have the energy. But then at the back of your mind, you ought to remind yourself that it is not just about you, it is about them. And they need you more now. Because that day they'll come and they will not be around you. So you just need to put your input together. You need to figure out how you are going to wrap yourself around it and try to manage it. But the truth of the matter, there are times that you feel you're not up to there. And many other times, maybe from around 15 to around 22 years, they take their own path when they are going through those transformative stages whereby they are trying to figure out who they are. They are trying to understand their personality. They are trying to understand their strength and what they want to be. And they are trying to understand about them getting their own mind and their own spirit. And you see them going away from what you've always taught them or what you've always wanted them to be. But the bottom line is that as parents, we have to remember that they are not a replica of us. They have their own lives. They have their own ambitions. They have their own personality that even if you have 10 kids, all of them have a different personality. It is us who try to box them to a certain personality group. But the truth of the matter is that they are so different. And at times you will feel like they are going away from what you've always believed or what you've taught. So yes, at times I feel like I'm falling short of the demand.
No, thank you, Vincent. If I will take you back a little while, seems like our parents, maybe there are those parents now who are maybe late 60s, early 70s. How do you feel about their parenting way of doing it?
Actually, it's totally different, and you cannot blame them. It is bearing the dispensation that they were in, and the dynamics of raising kids by then. They were in a survival mode. So that means for them, it was about providing the basics. Food, a house, and basic or affordable education. So they never had a time of investing in, in your well-being. Actually, I don't remember any time we went to hospital way back. It was very rare. Nowadays, we have the medical schemes and all those kind of things. I don't know. We have sometimes we do have annual medical checkup. I remember as I was growing up, and it is not because we lacked. I never had a toothbrush until I was around, I think, class 7.
Yes, a teenager.
And actually, it is only that there was a competition in school that I got to win a toothbrush. It is not they bought it for me. So their concern was more of you being alive. Not about your well-being, not about your emotional, not about your dreams or who you want to be, or rather maybe having quality life. It was just purely survival. So in that dispensation, it was like that. And you realize most of the time we try to box our kids into the same dispensation, but we're in a different age. We cannot have the same holistic approach that they had. We are in totally different dispensation. Discipline was paramount. It was non-negotiable. Nowadays, your kids will tell you no, and you will have to bear with it. You will have to find a way of handling your issues. Yeah, we are different. We are different. Yes. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Well, in my case, I would say yes, I would agree with you. And there are times, yes, I felt maybe my parents maybe were too harsh. Maybe they would have tried another way of doing things. Maybe another way of maybe talking, But that was their way of doing it anyway, as you said. That is their way of doing it. Discipline was discipline was discipline. Well, if you compare the two, Vincent, which one do you think brought up an holistic person? Is it the old way of doing it or the new way of doing it?
Well, I don't know whether I'll have a conclusive answer to that because I've not had the
It may
privilege of
not be conclusive.
enjoying both. Yeah.
Because okay, remembering of what we did, maybe we went to the river to get water. If you grow up
Yes.
in a setup like the one I grew up, you know, you
Yes.
walked to school. You never had an umbrella. Come rain, come, you know, sunshine. You have to walk home again for lunch. You remember that, you know? Cows were there maybe during the weekends to be milked and to, you know, you look for that grass for the cows, you know.
It was actually it was every day.
Yes, you know, you want to walk those many kilometers to go and farm, if you remember.
Yeah.
So how
That was
was it?
non-negotiable.
It may not apply to today's life because maybe today's life, maybe we are in an urban setup. Maybe we do not have to walk to those far distances to go and farm. We do not have any cows near us. How, you know, comparing the two?
I would say I appreciate the dispensation that we were in, and we were raised in, because
Yes.
what it did, it gave us the privilege of self-dependence. You know, not necessarily depending on your parents doing stuff. So
Yes.
by the time you are 18, you are basically an adult who could feed himself, and that's why you realize even those people who never had the privilege of maybe completing their O levels, they can still survive because they had what you'd call hand-on skills. I mean, by the time I was around class 6, class 7, I could prepare a meal for myself. I could milk.
Too.
So basically, I could run a farm. I think I was more of a farm manager by then because I could do most of stuff and supervise. But now, if you look at the dispensation that we are in, and I think the dynamics have changed due to rural-urban migration, and of course, we have aped more of a Western culture, whereby kids are taken to boarding school. Sometimes they use school bus being taken to school. You don't have to walk.
Yes.
I would say it is creating an entitled generation whereby they feel like they actually deserve much more than what you are offering. But the truth of the matter is that is far from the truth.
Yes.
Because in my case, especially what we are going through in the economic meltdown that we are in, it's a sacrifice for parents even to put a bread on the table. So when you reach to a point whereby you are arguing with your kid whether they need maybe what you would consider luxury, I think I would say it is an insult to the parents. Getting the fact, seriously, I'm on a meeting next year. Sorry about that. It's a serious sacrifice. So I appreciate the older dispensation because it built us. In my case, I've been raised by my grannies, and I am whom I am today because of the input that they imputed in me. Because it builds resilience, it builds determination, it builds self-focus. You are able to realize who you are, what you wanted at a very young age. And that was able to catapult us to where we are. So I appreciate the older dispensation. Today, we are creating a lazy generation.
Well, Dhura, karibu.
Asante.
You unatusikia? You can hear us, huh?
Yes, I'm okay.
As we were just in the first whatever that as a parent, are there days you feel like you failed all? Are there days that you feel that wazazi wako they failed in a way?
Okay. Of course, sometimes you feel like that, but at the end of it all, I always blame anyone because kitu nimerealize ni most people are living ile life ya uliambua this is what it is.
Yes.
Things should be operated this way, but life ina turn out kuwa si hivyo. Most ya life huwa iturn out kuwa ndio tuliambua itakuwa. So That's why nasema okay, you sometimes you may feel that way, but thinking about how the world iko, hatufai ku put the blame on one, because most things tunafikiria ziko right, they are not right. And most vitu tunadhani tunajua, we just don't know about most of the things that's happening around us.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, Vincent, if I'll come back to you, Nick, I ask you, you said that the generation today that we are raising, they feel more entitled. Of course, utasikia mtoto akisema staki shule hii, nataka shule hii. And maybe maybe what they have achieved in school does not qualify them for that school. I don't want this is what I want.
I think it is a tricky position to find yourself as a parent. I've not been there, but I've had an experience of people having an issue. Actually, there is this issue of this nominated MP from, what do you call him, Sankok?
Yes.
If I understand to be corrected, that was the real issue.
That was the issue.
And I think the boy ended up committing suicide. It's very unfortunate, but I think at the end of the day, we ought to blame ourselves as parents. We've done everything for our kids.
Yes.
I always define family in two ways, and basically the parenting also falls in that order.
Yes.
In my family, I believe that you can raise your family as a club. In a club is where people are like-minded, they're having fun, they are get together, they're boosting each other's ego, they're encouraging each other and helping each other, and that's a club. But for me, I believe a family is more of a team. A team, they have a purpose that goes even beyond them. So that means whatever you do it for the family. Now, as a kid, and I don't think they have the right frame of mind to make that decision. What you want, where does it put the rest of the family members in that context? I think that's a question that maybe, I don't know whether they are in that, they have the mental frame to ask themselves that question. But I think we ought to raise them to understand, we ought to raise our kids in a level that they ought to know that the world owes them nothing. You cannot tell me that you have an issue with a school and you burn it down. That's not the way it works. If that's the case, we have issues with our employers. Do we ban our work of place? We have issues with the government. Do we ban government offices? We have issues with each and every institution. Is that the only way that we can solve our issues? So I think as parents, since we are going to take the blame on behalf of the kids, I think there was a court ruling that said for a kid who is below 12 years, they do not have any criminal responsibility upon them. So we have to raise them to understand that we are imputing values that shows them that the world owes them nothing. It is for them to show up and be the best in whichever way possible. And by the best, I mean have values that cut across everyone. Be determined, be honest, be accountable, be responsible. And I always try to teach my boys that they ought to be responsible to their choices. So if he has an issue, we have a way of communicating. Do you have an issue?
Yes.
Is there anything that you need us to hear from you? Or rather, this is the decision that we are making. What is your input? So I think we can also learn to bring them on board and understand that we ought to have communication as parents. We are a team. The coach communicates with the players, and the players communicate back to the coach, so that you can be able to understand any issue that arises in between. So, but if you move back, you realize that most of the time we are more of sponsors to our kids. We don't spend time with them, so we don't know their needs. We don't know their weaknesses. We don't know their strength. We don't know even what they want. You don't even know when they have an issue. And I think when such an issue arises, whether they want to be moved to this school, and then this school, I think there's a way you can sit down with them and have a conversation, whereby you will explain your case, why it is not possible, and then they place on the table why they need it. And you realize at the end of the day, they'll also realize that their idea doesn't carry the day. So I think we'll go with what is practical and what is the reality. They might want to go to Mangu, but do they qualify? Do I have the resources to take them there? So I think we need to bring them to a certain position whereby we can have a conversation. So basically communication.
Communication. Thank you, Vincent. Durani, if I come back to you, how is it? How is it like raising kids as a single parent? And when you talk about single parent, sometimes we only think about divorce. If maybe your partner is away, could be away for some months. Like I remember for maybe 3 or so years, and to raise my children basically almost alone, because their father was away in another country. You know, you would only come for only like a month. How is it like raising kids as a single parent?
Okay, as a single parent, of course, inakuwa ngumu, and the fact, especially when it's the dad with the kids,
yes,
sometimes it's hectic. Because I have the experience that mimi nilikana mtoi for some time without doing a lot kwa job zangu. Like I had to be there for the kid.
Yes.
Sometimes inakufanya like una feel nafaa kuwa huko nje nikifanya like vitu zingine, but I have to take care of the parents of the mtoi.
Yes.
Like naweza sema it's not easy.
It is not easy.
To most people, before they realize that it's just a matter of time before huyu mtoi grow apata life yake, because that you'll be there na utaweza kujungle between the job na kutekia care of the kid, because the two zisha happen kwa life yako. You have to take responsibility. But the problem to most people, I know inakuanga ni before you accept that this is my new life.
Yes.
Because tumeona watu wengine wamereziwa na single parents, wamekuwa poa. Wengine most people who blame watu wamegroishwa na single parents, but at the end of the day, to me it doesn't matter if you background yako ni from a single parent, from both parents. As Vincent said, ile kitu ina matter ni the virtues, the values zenye tuta instill kwa our children nizo zitakam ku reflect back to their lives.
Yes.
So like for me vile niliweza kuhandle hiyo experience ni ilikuwa inanifanya sometimes na get into state, let's say depression, but with time vile nilihave ku accept that this kid is there, atatoka kwa life. I have to know vile between job na kumtekia care, because I can't ignore. The moment most single parents ignore the fact that there's somebody who needs your attention, your job needs attention, kila kitu yako, yani you need to look out somewhere for you people to achieve your dreams. But the moment you forget that huyu mtoi ako hapo kwa life, you will have to live with that fact, then inakuwa hard for most parents. But single parenting, it's not that easy.
Zura, one time I know I worked from where I live. I worked away 50 kilometers, and I would nilikuwa naenda asubuhi na kuja jioni, and my son I never at no time I ever picked him on time during closing days, because there's no way I could go to work in the morning, pick him at 11, you know, I had to stick to work until maybe 3 or 2 o'clock. But now when I come picking him, I don't go back to work. And that time I had told him, look here, this is how things will go. You know, I cannot pick you at 10 like other maybe 10 or 11 like other children. So you'll have to stick in school for maybe 2 or 3 hours, then I can pick you later. And he never had a problem, you know, because the other parent was away, he could not be available to pick him. I never had a problem at all. But we had laid it down that I'll always pick you at around maybe 3, maybe at around 4 o'clock. Yeah, and we, you know, and maybe what I want to add on what Thura has said, maybe the problem of multitasking, maybe when it's a woman doing it, it's easier. I think when a man is doing it, becomes a problem. Vincent, how do you take that?
Pardon?
How do you take that when it's a man doing the single parenting, it becomes a bit difficult? When it's a woman doing the single parenting, it becomes a bit easier.
Well, from a man's perspective is that when it comes to raising kids, I think we have different roles, and yes. Ours is more of a supervisory role. So you realize you are like a CEO who does deal with the daily operations of the institution. Yes. But there is a mid-level manager or maybe a bottom-level manager who interacts with everyone on a daily basis and maybe interacts with the product. Let's say, for example, a hotel. The wife is more of the waiter or the supervisor or the F&B manager, and the father is more of the hotel manager who is at the top and spends most of the time in the office. Mm-hmm. So you realize it is a workload for a man to handle it as an individual. But what I know, it's possible.
It is possible.
Only that you'll have to commit more. You'll have to work double. You'll have to fill that gap. But what I've come to learn with the human mind is that where there is a will, there is a way. So there's a possibility. There's a possibility. I know it won't be easy, but also it depends on how you have always been when your partner was there. If you have been hands-on throughout, it is just a matter of time when you work out through the transition and then you settle. But if you have always been away and things have been done for you, you were there just maybe making calls, it will be very hard for you. It will be very hard for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. How do we handle the loss of a providing parent? And maybe now this in the event of death, you know, it's not only, I don't want us to really look from the angle from one perspective, maybe from even death. How Thura, tunaweza handle aje the loss of a providing a parent or a spouse maybe?
Okay. Jen, wase wenye wanawoche kitu naweza sema about losing someone.
Yes.
It's really hard. It's painful na ni a process. But at the end of the day, someone will heal. Na the reason ya kuheal ni that we believe that we should have gratitude for life.
Yes.
Because in most situations, life mazea to aina shock absorbers that most things to us zinakuanga ni kama turning point na hizi ndizo situations zina lead watu to mental health issues, si ndio?
Ni kweli.
So hiyo situation vile mtu anaweza handle, mtu anaipitia, it's I would advise acceptance. After accepting whatever is going through you, around you, okay, it will take for a while, but accepting the situations and working towards, acha tuseme tu, yani pia wewe work towards giving the best for life, because I believe there's a reason kila mtu anaishi. So wewe mwenye umebaki, I feel unafaa kuwa like ku adopt to the new life, because that's lifestyle. The only way.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the only. Okay,
Vincent, thank you. How would you handle the loss of a providing parent? And in this case, I want you to look at it, maybe the providing parent most likely is maybe the one who was paying fee, and now the person mwenye amebaki ana uwezo. You know, even if by the time you even get, if it is in the event of death, by the time you even get benefits, nini, these children want to go to school, the fees has to be paid. How do we really handle that one?
Let me say that the loss of a loved one, or separation or divorce, I don't think there is anyone who gets into a relationship for it to end up that way. Okay. Unfortunately, that is the reality of life, that at some point,
reality of life, yes.
In unfortunate circumstances, there might be death. Due maybe to unavoidable circumstances, there could be separation or divorce or long distance relationship.
Yes.
But my point is this: when you're always together and you have that opportunity, because it doesn't happen in your 40 years of marriage, it doesn't happen in your 20 years of marriage, it is only sometimes maybe a phase. Always invest all that you are in your family. Always cherish them. And in that process, empower either it is your wife or your husband, yes, and even your kids. Another valuable treasure that I've learned is always have a communication platform with your kids, with your family, with your wife or your husband. And at times just sit there and discuss the vision of the family. Where do you want this family to be in the next 5 years? So where do you want this family to be the next 10 years? In my family, we have what we call the vision of the Kiragos. Who we want to be by the time our kids are in their 20s. Who do we want to be when they are gone? Their foundation and their values and their principles that they have established them, and we've written them down. Everyone knows them except the young boy who doesn't have the right mental frame to understand what that means. But for the rest, we have a communication and they know. In case one exits, everyone knows that this is where we are. This is where our dad left us. This is what this was the desire of our mom. And it is easy to take on from there. It is like a company that has structure. There is always transition. There is always that succession plan. So if you're investing in your family, do it 100%. This idea, you have a couple somewhere, you have, I think I would say it is more of self-sabotage. Whom are you keeping it for? What does it benefit? I remember sometimes back, and I think I will say this with a lot of humility and good faith, the family of Jenga Karume. I remember there was a grandchild who died because they lacked, I think, painkillers or something, resources to handle her painkillers. Reason being, their fathers and I think their uncles or something, they were embroiled in a court case. I mean, if Jenga Karuma was asked the days that he was toiling, the days he was working even in his 80s, I don't think he ever worked all that so that his wealth and all that he ever built to be sorted out in a court of law. I don't think that's so. So I think I think I'm going to shoot this straight from the hip to men. Men cast a vision for your family. build a family that is dependent not on individuals, but on structures. Invest time, invest resources, and invest emotion into these people. That by the time they exit, they'll know that you had given your 100%. That does not mean that they're not going to miss your presence. That does not mean that you're going to miss your input. But they'll say that for the sake of the effort that my dad or my mom or whoever, we are going to stay strong. We are going to stay together until we realize the dream that he has. I think if we want to, and we've committed ourselves to this cause, it's possible. It's possible. I know there is, people have different ways of mourning. I know there are people who live in denial. But for the interest of the vision that you had as a family, if you had built it, then you rise, you dust yourself, you wipe your tears, you tell your kids that, you know what, we have a mission ahead of us, and we need to fulfill it in honor of the one who has departed, in case it is death. Yes.
Thank you, Vincent. Dhura, kuna katabia that, you know, well, I worked in a bank, and sorry to say, a lot of unclaimed assets. You know, the government now is talking about unclaimed assets. A lot
Actually,
of money.
It is 20 billion.
Yes.
That can fund around 3 or 4 counties.
You know, that unclaimed asset, hiyo ni pesa ya watu iko pahali. No one knows in that family that there is money in this bank, or there is money, or even shares. You know, like shares, a lot of unclaimed assets. Ni kwa nini? Why? Personally, I make sure that my boys are aware of my PIN, my accounts, everywhere. Where I am a member of the circle, they know this what mom has, this account has this. Why? Kwa nini? And you know, when Bimbi you are the breadwinner, when do unalipia mtoto fees? If you're not there tomorrow, mtoto next time atafukuzwa, atasoma. If the lady one is not empowered, why is it so common, Turanira? Dhura, unatusikia?
Okay. History yote, to my view, inaanza from the family itself. What kind of family trust? Nawasikia, mnanisikia?
Tunakusikia.
Ndio nasema, to my view, this all depends na maybe principles za mtu, because some people and most people believe that you should trust no one. And naambia kwa hii life, unajua watu wako na different principles.
Yes.
Kuna mtu atakuwa like kwa life yake trust no one, maybe kwa life experience situations zenye sharing of his opinions na nini zimemweka kwa mess. So inafika point anaamua hii life ni kujipanga, unaona. But kitu naweza ambia wasee ni hiyo story Vinia amesema, story ya kuempower watoi na family na foundation zao. That's the best thing msee anaweza fanya, because we'll all leave everything that we think we have, tutaziacha tu yani, and we will have to transit to another life. So kitu naweza sema ni Vinia amesema kitu poa sana, that in this life, when you are alive, when you have a family, when you have a lover, the best thing to do is live the moment, cherish every moment, do everything good, because when that moment won't be there anymore, at least you'll have good memories, you'll have good things to say about someone. But unaangalia watu wengine mazee ni like hawakutakii, but to some point wanangoja kusema how good you are, unaona.
Yes.
So that's not being fair. So hiyo part ya wasi kuwa secretive na their properties nini, Kirago amesema vizuri sana. Tafadhali empower your family, empower everyone you love, live the moment, cherish every moment, have gratitude for life. You who is living, you who is there, the best thing you can, the best gift you can kupatia ni ku have gratitude. Na the other best gift unaweza jipatia ni kucherish the moments you have na kila mtu. And then the other one is kindly, kama ni couples, try to empower each other. Usitake like kukua wewe ndio kusema, wewe ndio control, wewe ndio unaona, because just fikiria the moment you won't be there. How will your children survive it?
Thank you, Dura.
Okay, and that's it, Jen. I understand. Yeah.
Kirago, you can hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Tell us, how has the African culture impacted on this issue of empowerment? Because there is an aspect of African culture there.
Actually, that is the. I think that's the biggest inheritance that we did from our forefathers.
Yes.
And maybe they had their good reasons why they are doing it.
Yes.
But I think we've moved from that dispensation. We are in a new dispensation, whereby we don't have the likes of land and all those things that they left to us.
Yes.
The only thing that as we can invest in our kids is preparing them for the world to come.
Yes.
Be ready to capitalize on the opportunities that will come. So we are just shedding off what, I mean, it may not be productive anymore. It worked then, it might not work today. And I remember sometimes back, every time you had a sitting with the elders, they tell you, and let me use Kikuyu just to put it across. I believe you'll understand. I'm sorry for the audience out there. It made sense then. But today, I think with what we've seen happening, if you've chosen to have a family, you owe to that family, you are responsible to that family, you are accountable to that family, and that's 100%. All that matters. 100 plus percent. Yes. So there are no shortcuts, there are no cars, there are no hindsights, just plain as it is. And I think we've been alive for a few decades. We've seen it working. Where it has not been applied, we've seen the results. And the results are out there. And I don't think there's anyone who wants that kind of an end. All of us want to have something successful. All of us in our old age want to look back and say that we did our best. If we were to give ourselves a score out of 10, the idea is always to give yourself above 8. Yeah.
Well, how do you, I don't know what I may really say on that, because I look at it as the issue of mistrust. I don't know why there is so much mistrust, you know. The issue of mistrust in marriages, the issue of people are not partners anymore. I don't know what is happening on that, because that is bringing in a lot of, you know, a lot of issues. And issues of mistrust, dhura iwe labda mtu amekufanya ABC, ndio so there is a possibility of itafanyika tena, ndio sasa unaona wacha at least I should have something for myself, I don't know, Dhura, huyo ungesemaje?
Okay, story ya mistrust. Naweza sema like the current world yenye tuko there are a lot of acha niziite temptations.
Yes.
Juu temptation yako si temptation yangu. Na unaona most people are after living the life.
Yes.
Most of these young people are after living the life. So unapata wewe unaelewa kuna process when it comes to marriage. Kuna courtship. Kuna hizo stages. But most of these people assume marriage ni kitu like it's automatic. I want to, ukiuliza kuna yeye anasema anataka yeye kumarika na mbabas, anataka yeye anataka, unaona vile ilikutake like maybe years kubuy zile vitu ulikuwa unataka kwa nyumba, fridge,
yes,
screen. Yeye tu anajua mse anaweza mbaia hizo vitu
anataka zikiwa hapo
papa, anazitaka hapo. Kuna mtu kama huyo. Kuna mwingine maybe anataka kukua entrepreneur, amegrow akiona mama yake ni entrepreneur, anataka kulearn skills za mama yake. Maybe anataka kutake after mama yake, ameenda pia amekuwa exposed, but unapata kuna life amechoose. So at the end of it all, it all gets back to choices when it comes to vitu kama marriage. Yani wase itabidi tu wase like take their time, because most of the cases unasikia za hata GBV unasikia msee anakuexplainia vile alikuwa anafanyiwa nini, I met this person nini, hajamjua, wakaenda wakafanya like hapo tukiongea tuseme ni story ya trust. Kuna zile after zile 6 months zinaitangwa aje, there are those 6 months, ile ya nyoka sana toka pangoni. Unapata most people wakishow their real colors when it comes to relationships, ni unapata kila mtu alikuwa na shida zake. You didn't take time to know each other, and what I know about marrying each other is all about accepting each other's mistakes and being ready to maybe to help out this somebody better. That's all it means na marriage. Marriage si kushikana mkono, si kushona vitenge, si hiyo kutamani vitu hauna, unaona. Because unapata most of these girls, kuna wabadhi wamechoose that mimi siwezi kuwa married to mtu ana do, to mtu ako hivi. Yani kuna watu wamejiwekea hizo standards.
Yes.
Sasa hizi unapata miaka kwao inasonga. But miaka inasonga kwao, but to them wao wako fit juu wana achieve dreams zao, si wanalewa, wanabebwa na magari kubwa, unaona like hata ukisikia akiongea mi siwezi get married nini, but ukiangalia huyu dem maybe unapata ako na mtoi, na huyo mtoi amepelekwa kwa shosh, but alichoose mi siwezi get married, I just want to live the life, unaona.
Yeah.
So most issues kwa relationships zinaletwa na during courtship ama during the moment msee ameamua I want to get a partner kwa life yangu. Like why are you getting a partner?
Yes.
Unahitaji partner, mbona unahitaji dem mrembo kupelekanga out, dem wa kung'ara, dem wa wasee, sawa, utampata, si ndio? Unataka dem atakusaidia kufika another step kwa life, yes, pia huyo utampata. Na bado ukitaka wakula na yeye sherehe utapata. So when it comes to relationships, kitu naweza ambia waseni, just be careful, because kwa relationship nothing is easy.
Yes.
It's all, yani ni vitu unaenda kujitafutia mental health issues ukiona, ama how tumejitafutia solution ya mental health issues zenye unapitia. It's either way. But a relationship hizi siku it's not easy juu ya social media na vitu zinaitwa goals. Kuna couple goals, sijui kuna wedding goals.
Yes.
Yani watu wenyewe wanachochana na goals zao huko nje. But at the end of the day, life ita have to unfold vile inafaa. Okay.
Thank you.
Alafu Okay, na nataka kuthank wasee wote wenye wako logged kwa conversation yetu. Kuna Sharon Gatwiri, Linda Kawira, Sodi George, pale kuna James Njogona, kuna Lucky Lads mtandao. James Njogona anasema always atakuanga logged because his conversations zinamsaidia sana. And Kirago, thank you for always being there to share your wisdom with us. Queen B anasema bado wako present, ni vile ya kuweza kukua logged in leo. Na thank you for everyone who is tuned. Share your comments hapo kwa link, then we can engage in the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Zura. Maybe what I would say is that when you are getting into a relationship, what I've come to learn maybe in my later years is we should have a candid talk, a real talk. This is what we want. We need this number of children. Kama watoto ni wawili, watatu, hawa. Tunataka nyumba wapi? Nairobi. Where? What estate? Do we need a house in Mombasa? Upper. Do we need a house in rural areas? Where? Here. This is our finance. These are our finances. How are we going to live? This one will go to this one will go to this, because those are the kind of issues, especially finances, ndio inafanya tu katane mapanga later in life, ndio inafanya, the way Kirago said, lazima mtu akae na kakitu kake just in case, just in case, tukienda kununua plot, unanunua tukienda kununua plot, wewe unanunua kako hapo. So nyumba tujenge pande hii ama tujenge katikati, just in case things go wrong, then we can do what? We can separate, which is actually not right, because we are not entering in these relationships or in these marriages to break later, We would rather not actually enter into them than breaking later in life. But if it has to be, then we cannot avoid it. Something also I've realized is we all need to, just vile Zura alikuwa anasema unaweza pata labda mtu mwenye anasema mimi nataka life, mimi sitaki mtoi, mimi sitaki kuaso, I just want to be kwenda happy, we have to know those kind of people too, ndio tujue where are we going with these people. Hawa ni watu tu wa happy, si watu wa nini, si watu wa maisha. They are not serious at all in life. Maybe in a way they feel either they have lived their lives or they failed somewhere, so they are trying to compensate. I've come to realize the way Kirago Vincent was saying, we need to be very, very specific on what we need in this marriage. We need to walk a life together. This is what we are doing. Yes, you can have your account, I can have my account, no problem about that. Even the pensioners, you have to have different accounts, Mr. Kirago, you know that. We cannot have a joint account, you know, to get a pension. But we need to be quiet, be open with one another. This is what I have. This is what, in case today I, Jane, am not there. Huyo mwingine anabaki, isikuwe ako na shinda mingi, hata ajui aseti zingine ziko wapi, ajui hii iko wapi. It's easy for him that you know at least this one iko pale, hii iko pale, hii iko pale. I've seen people actually go around all banks asking, huyu alikuwa na account hapa, huyu alikuwa na account hapa, you know, because they do not even have a clue where this guy had an account, you know. So, well, that I think is individual. So we go to the next one, social media influence on parenting. Well, if I would talk about the social media parenting influence on parenting, I don't know, Vincent and Dhura mumeona, there's a lot of what I know, a lot of influence, yes, because like what I've seen and what I was laughing about, I think the last 1 or so 2 years, and I've watched it very keenly during the end of the year when our small children grade, I think on the grade what, the nursery ones, when they are graduating, we are always in the social media, you know. Well, nini tumepeleka mpaka class 8, it was a journey. We are very fast also in putting those marks there. Well, but there are some marks we do not do. Well, we go to those good schools of Mangu High School, you know, it is Mangu here I am, Alliance here I am, but as we get out, it doesn't matter if it is Alliance or Mangu, we don't talk about it. According to me, the social media has a negative influence on parenting. It has a negative influence on parenting. When the 4-4 exam was out, somebody asked, where are the plumbers? And I was like, oh my goodness, you know, that was not a good, according to me, that is according to me. Because, well, we are posting the A's and the B's. Na nikaona vizuri ameuliza, and where are the plumbers? Well, Kirago, Vincent, what do you think about social media influence on parenting?
One is to say that we're in the information age.
Yes.
And this is the best resource that as human being or humanity we've ever had. It has made the world to be a global village. It has made things wireless. It has made things instant. It has made things effective and excellent. Not that is standing everything that has been created by human hands comes with advantage and disadvantage. And I think and I think we discussed that last week about social media addiction, that we spend too much time. And I think I would say I'm also a victim of so. There's an app that tracks how you're using your smartphone. And actually it gives me feedback after every 1 week. And on average, I spend around 6 to 7 hours a week on social media. Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, Google, and all other stuff.
Yes.
What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that this is a reality that we cannot live without. It is a basic need as far as I'm concerned. It's good. But the question is, what are you feeding yourself with? Because if you go to Google, there are billions and billions of websites. You can choose the information that you want to digest. You can choose the information that adds value. You can, there are books that are out there that you can read on your smartphone. So I think at the end of the day, it depends on an individual. And it depends on what you want to consume, what is good for your eyes and what is good for your mind and what is good for your soul. So I think at the end of the day, the responsibility lies with an individual and the responsibility lies with parents who sit down and say that, you know what, you are spending too much time on your phone. Maybe you could be doing it out there, but when it comes to family dinner or us being together, we are family that eats together, we are family of order, we are family of respect. So we are going to do it the old way. We have a dinner, we switch off Wi-Fi maybe at a particular hours, and then you switch it on at a particular hours. At the end of the day, you have to make a radical decision that you know that are effective for your family. For me, I would say most of the time we are just chasing clout. We are seeking validation for people who don't know us. We are basically assuming the whitewashed life that we see, how would I put it? The cosmetic life that people post out there, that is the reality. That is far from the truth. Learn to be contented in who you are. Have parameters to know whether you are moving the right direction. Don't focus on other people. We are different. We desire different. We have different purposes in life. We have different achievements. We have different ambitions. Whether so, if the Jones bought a car, that doesn't mean that you should have a car. And if they post, that does not mean that you should post. So parenting cannot be done online. Parenting will always remain old school. Yes. And for those who have tried otherwise, they can give us the figures and they can give us the results. So I would say probably most of the time people argue with the methodology that you use for parenting. But I always argue back that it's not about the methodology. It's about the results. So for me, I don't post my kids on social media. I don't post everything that has to do with my life on social media. I know what I need to post. And I think it is something that I can be proud of. It is something that even my kids can see 10 years, 5 years later, and they'll be like, well, Dad had an idea here. And I think we always have an agreement with my wife that we don't post kids. If she wants to post herself, she can. I don't post her, neither do I post myself. And that's the principle, and we're okay with it.
Okay. Yes. Zura, social media influence on parenting. Zura, unanisikia?
Okay, sasa hapo ni kuna kitu inaitwa kizungumkuti. Nawasikia, mnanisikia?
Tunakusikia.
Nasema hapo kwa social media na parenting. Kuna story. Juu ukiangalia most of these young people, wenye wana get for relationships zenye zina lead to parenting, wamechukua simu wakaingia pale Facebook, wakatafuta kale kadem karembo kabisa, wakaingia Instagram, wakatafuta yule jua atatesa na yeye, wakatengeneza hizo couple goals pale, wakiwa courtship. Kazi yao ni sherehe, mapombe, masmokes, hawaambiwi, yani wao wanaishi the life. Unaona?
Yes.
So ikikam ni si kuna kitu sahi Julai hii kufukuza baridi, ama kujo niwashie gas, kujo nitengenezee stima nini. That's how most of them wanna end up kuwa parents. Hawakuwa ready. Na most of them are lucky enough baba mtoto anakubali responsibility. Wanaanza kusapotiana wakiwa wayang. Before wa live the life. So ile life atapitia ni ile life hao wazae probably wanaishi, ama vitu wanataka, vitu wanamuinfluence. Wala juu pia wao wajui anything out of hizo vitu wanadu. Wanaona sisi tuna have fun.
It's okay, it's
right. Juzi online mtoi amevutishwa bangi. Okay, ni sawa, hii bangi tunasema ni dawa. Lakini honestly ukianza kupatia mtoi vitu kama hizo akiwa mdogo, like una mess up na future yake.
Ni kweli.
na una mess up na future generations. So when it comes to social media na influence on family zone ama on parenting, like mazimi si wadanganyi, zile vitu mnafanya mbele ya watoi wenu, zile vitu mnawatch mbele ya watoi wenu ndizo wana adopt. Juu kama mimi nakumbuka tukigrow sisi vitu kama hizi masimu hizi, yani kuna privilege zingine, yani ni vitu haunge hata ungenipatia simu singejua ni nini. But saizi unaona mtoi wa like 2 years anashika simu, anaenda YouTube, anaenda everywhere, na wewe kama parent hata umeacha uweke tu lock ya, but wewe kama mzae una feel huyu nataka achanuke mapema, hii dunia time. So unapata huyo mtoi zile values atapata as an grow from probably the mom ndizo atakam ku transfer hata maybe kwa the future generations. So hapo social media na influence mazee, wewe ukitafuta mrembo mazee, usitafuta wa kutesa na yeye juu sasa hiyo ndio noma Jen. Vini kila mzee anataka mrembo akipiga selfie pale tutasema Buda umewembeteza, wewe ndio kusema. Kila mzee akitokea na akademi hivi anataka kuambua huyu dem ni mrembo, but honestly kama unasikiza hii conversation ujapitia hizi story like relationship haikuangi ni kuonekana eti it's more than that. There's a lot that goes on. Na usiseme nataka mtoi kama uko already kupatia huyo mtoi life yenye ungetaka aishi, then kindly tu wewe tafuta other methods za usipate huyo mtoi juu huyo tuko everyone anafaa ajue like it's not easy na si fair hata si fair hata kuleta mtu umpitishie mostly the young generation.
I think we lost Dhura. We seem to be losing Dhura, Vincent.
Yes.
I don't know what advice you'd have to the young people, because I believe that we are all created, we are told we are wonderfully and fearfully made, and we are created in the image of God. And the other day I was asking, what is this image of God? Because there are people who do not have limbs and they have accepted themselves. Now I have realized we have a lot of children with Down syndrome. I don't know whether you've looked at that and seen that there is a growing Down syndrome, children with Down syndrome. And they're not created, and they're not wonderfully and fearfully made. There's this aspect of, I'm beautiful. And I'm like, who is that person who is ugly?
That's true. I would say that we are at an age where we are living a very superficial life.
Yes.
Very cosmetic. It's always about what we see.
Yes.
It's always about we portray there. But I think for a person like you who has aged well, like some good fine wine, there's a story that you can share that is more than that. The generation that we are in, we are focusing on marrying the most beautiful woman. But the question is, what do they bring on the table towards this relationship?
Yes.
Remember, this is an individual that, let me give an example of my parents. They are in their 80s.
Yes.
They've been together for more than almost 60 years.
Yes, yes.
You can imagine spending time together for all these years.
For 60
having
good
meals,
years. Yes.
I mean, having 1,000 meals, having so many birthdays together, having so many moments and milestones celebrating together. So I think by the time you are dating, you need to understand that whoever you are choosing, you need to choose the right person. And I think this goes back. we lost our culture. I remember way back at that age of going the passage of rights, there used to be conversations that were held there. But I think along the way, we came to abuse it, and the original purpose was never achieved. People started teaching things that do not add value. That is and if you look carefully, it used to happen between around 12 to around 18, 20 years. Those are the transformative age of the young people. So at that particular point, they were supposed to be fed with the right values and the things that will build them. And it is at that age that you build whom we want to be. It is at that age that you can try things, and even if you fail, you still have time to recover.
Yes.
But what did we do with it? We introduced other culture that we copied from other people, not knowing where they came from for them to have that culture. And right now we are suffering from the consequence, or we are in the consequences of the choices that were made way back. And the most undoing thing is that the introduction of a relationship or opposite sex marriage is that many relationships start with the lust. Because I wouldn't say that that's love. We start with lust, we have sex, we made sex so casual.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you end up maybe having a kid with someone that you never wanted to be to start with. Yes. And therefore, you are forced to be in a situation that you never wanted to be. And that means if you don't rise up to the occasion and say that, you know what, let the bygones be bygones, and this is where I am, that I'll take responsible of my choices and be contented in that, and then try to work it out and put more effort, then we are going to have a lost generation that has treated sexual, which is so sex, which is so sacred, as so casual. And I think I've been there, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I've been there. I've done those things. I've made mistakes. I've suffered tremendously out of it, and I'm here sharing that experience. I'm not just sharing it as, you know, like trying to show off. No, I'm just saying that we've done it. We can now sit back and look back and say, what, you know what? There was no trophy that we got for those things that we did. There was no award. It was not a foundation that you are proud of. 40 years, when you're in your 40s, when you're in your 50s, when you're having a conversation with your kid, will you have the moral authority to speak to them about early engaging in sex at an early age? Because they'll be looking at you and they'll be like, isn't this your son? You are 16, you are 15. You know, you lack that moral authority. So what I would say is that when you are dating someone and when you are engaging in someone, remember this is someone who has left their life behind so that you can come together and raise a family. When you have a kid, remember that this is a privilege and honor God has bestowed upon you. Yes. And one day you will be accountable. Remember, you're supposed to raise them to be whom God intended them to be. If you want to raise a society that has value, not whose moral fabric is torn, we have to start with our family setup. And I think, and I'll say this from a spiritual perspective, the enemy, who is Satan, has made sure that the family setup and the marriage institutions will never take off, because this is where our strength lies. We cannot have a nation, and neither can we have a society when we don't have a family. Yeah. But we can have a family and not have a society and not have a nation. So we need to go back to their foundations and decide what we want for our lives. We need to create ethos in our families, and these ethos will be spread into our communities and into our neighborhood. From that, we'll form a society that has ethics, that is of integrity, that is of certain beliefs and principles, and from there we'll have a nation. And the things that we are fighting off, the corruption, the impunity, and the pilferage of public coffers, they can be sorted from the smaller setup of a family. So the bottom line is, as young people who are out there, don't waste your 20 years when there is more than 40 years ahead of you. There's a one American who said that choices have consequences. Whatever you sow today, you will reap it. It might not be tomorrow, it might not be next year, but one day you will look back and you regret. I would say I have a knack of having conversation with people who are much older, and I ask. I'm a bit inquisitive. I always ask these questions: where you are today, is there something that you would want to amend? Is there something that you regret? And most of the time, you realize people who are in their 50s, their 60s, they regret so much that the opportunities and the chances and the resource that they had in their 20s or their 30s that they wasted. So for, as Dura is saying, what was Shere? Shere in your 60s, you look back and you'll not be proud of it. So there's time for everything. Do what you need to do today, because tomorrow will count, and it will count because of what you've done today.
Thank you, Mr. Kirago. Maybe before Dura tufungie, I'll still let me say that sherehe zilikuwa, even in our times, sherehe zilikuwa, and it's unfortunate like me.
Vasha ilikuwa.
Zilikuwa tena sana. And let me tell you, it's unfortunate that wale wapiga sherehe, unfortunately, most of them are not living. It's quite unfortunate that they are not living today. One way or another, they have disappeared out.
Ilikuwa disco.
I love the way Zura anacheka.
Maybe Madam Jane. Sorry to cut you short. There's a short video that is going around, and it was a speech that was made by Oscar Sudi, and this is what he said, and I quote him: that was when he was school, those beautiful girls, they were moving around from one relationship to another. And today they are no longer, along the way, they lost their track, and today they are not who they wanted to be, or they did not materialize to the potential that they had. And those, I will not use that word, but those average, tunasamanga kienyeji, those average are now the one who own businesses, they own companies, they own houses, they own wonderful families. So I think if for someone like Sudi, even in the years that he is, they can give such kind of wisdom. I think there's something that we can be able to pick from that.
Sherehe zilikuwa. Let me tell you, you may not know, I went to once a national school, the Galbatula High School, those times in the 80s.
Yes.
And sherehe zilikuwa. That one I can tell you. Sherehe zilikuwa, things were happening. Some of us were too foolish, if I would say that. Yes. Well, but it's unfortunate that the most beautiful, wale walipiga sherehe sana, you know, the ones that, we were in a mixed school, wale everyone, looked up to. Kila mtu alikuwa anataka because they were very beautiful. Apparently, most of them are no more. If they are still living, wengine, they are just in total misery.
That's true.
Total misery, because they want to be parents, they can never be parents, something, one thing or another went wrong, they can never be parents. So I think the best thing is to wait actually for your time. There's still a lot. I've come to realize this world as a lot of time anyway. No one knows. It's like the world is ending tomorrow. Maybe it will end in the next 90 years, So zilikuwa and people messed themselves. Na lakini wale walitaka kujiweka vizuri, they are still living very comfortably in this world. So I think we are losing Zura in a way, but Ms. Vincent, maybe you are parting shot on this topic of parenting.
My parting shot, and I think I'll emulate this from Professor Wangari Maathai, a very respectable person, a Nobel laureate. In her deathbed, she was asked whether there's any regret that she can. And I think this is a woman who is celebrated all over the world. I think if I'm not wrong, I think there's a university that is named after her, I think in some European country. I'm not sure, but I think there is, or I think a library or something, or a mausoleum or something. She said that she regrets not spending enough time with her family.
It is true.
When that piece of information came across me, I thought she had it all. I mean, I'm meant to understand the value of a Nobel laureate is around 80 million by then. I think right now it's almost 100 million. You'd think like having 100 million right now is, you'd have all.
You have it all, you know?
You have it all, I mean.
Yes.
And I think we need to have a proactive approach towards life, towards family, towards relationship, and I think towards our kids. Many other times that we have made decisions based on what we can see today, but we forget that there's a big chunk of our lives that is ahead of us. So what I would challenge everyone out there that, and if you are alive, that means you've not lost you might have lost the battle, but you haven't lost the war. So there's time to recover. There's time to amend the flaws that, you know, we found ourselves in. There's time to still invest and to learn and to change and, you know, be a person of value, being an asset to your family and to even to people who are around you. So I'm throwing a challenge to the young women and men who are out there. This life is so valuable. And if it wasn't valuable, and if it wasn't, you were here for a certain assignment, you wouldn't be alive. You wouldn't be alive. You are alive because there's something that God intends you to pursue. So focus on your purpose. Focus on whom you want to be. Focus on the legacy that you want to leave behind. You have potential. You have what it takes. Just be willing to pay the price. Be willing to walk the whole journey. It is a marathon. Save your energy for the last bit. Make sure that you are the one who will be counted to having strong, being the one who finished strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Well, what I can say before Nipe Dhura tufungie is that there's time for everything. Just as the Bible says that there's a time for everything, let us know at what times we are. Something else that I've always seen and I know is that I have never seen any eulogy that has been written that Jane, the owner of, you know, these and these and these in that eulogy. Only Jane, mother to so and so, maybe father so and so, and not the achievement that the achievement, yes, may be there. I may be a PhD holder, Dr. Jane, maybe education level, but remember that bit, the mother to so and so. Mtoto akipotea tunasemanga ni mtoto wa fulani, atakuwa ni mtoto wa Jane, ni mtoto wa Dhura, ni mtoto wa Vincent. So let us cherish, take care of our families, of our loved ones. Dhura, you are parting short as you close for us.
Okay. Naona pale Karaya anasema Nanganga Chege anasema it's a good conversation, and to anyone else who has been watching us, thanks for being tuned, for finding time to be part of the conversation. Na tuna hope si watatu tutajitolea, yani ku have such conversations to make people be aware of the world around them, na bado pia sina tusaidia like ku share the ideas about life, but today kitu tunasema about the main topic yeah, parenting in this generation. Tafadhali kama unajua hautapata time ya mtoi wako, then leave the kid alone uko kwenye yako, because Because utaangalia umesema kwa hizi social media that dem atatweet vile maybe amepitia situation, amepitia ghetto, akasanywa, kirago mna receiving hizo makesi mingi alafu ukifuata hii story unaona okay, huyu dem si eti walikuwa na stranger, walikuwa na mtu anajua, mpaka sometimes unashindwa unafuata story aje sasa, unaona. So like unapata hiyo parenting, hiyo sisi the people we choose to have around kwa lives zetu na come into a relationship with, tunafaa kuwa so careful because if it may lead to kupata mtoi, usiexpect that utakuwa safe kesho ukipitia hiyo ghetto. Utapata mtoi mwingine alizaliwa akatupa mahali, ako depressed, ako like mimi naingia kwa streets, I have nothing to lose, I can kill, I can rape, I can hizi vitu zote zitafall kwa mawife zetu, kwa mama zetu, kwa marafiki zetu, kwa yani kindly let's not create more chaos. Tuko na enough chaos kwa hii world, unaona. Mzee asikuje kusema eti life imemlemea na yeye Julai ita akienda hapa hiyo kamsinga pale na matei nini nini, kesho atajipata ako na ball hata ajui ni ya nani. Like the next July atakuwa yeye ni mzae, ana do ya blanketi, ana do ya uji, ana do ya nini. So una expect huyo msee akuwe mentally fit aje? Hawezi. So like the youth of today, vitu tunaji expose to in the name of relationship, couple goals, sijui sherehe, sijui si kesho kwani ni kesho? Mazini kesho, kuna kesho. Hiyo kesho unauliza, si lazima ni wewe utaishi hiyo kesho. Kuna mtu mwingine ataishi hiyo kesho. So like as we are living, let's try to spark real conversations especially kwa young people, because most of them wanna behave because they get most of the information from the digital media, from the videos, from the movies. Okay, myself mini content creator like na leo nikiwatch a few music videos ndio nilirealize like kumbe some music videos ni educative, ni relaxing, ni yani zinakupatia hiyo feeling ya this is good music. But ukiangalia zingine mpaka unashindwa unaona nini, cause zinakuonyesha about life yenye hata ufai kuona, because where you are you're just okay, you're doing okay. But the moment utalet hizo vitu unaona zitrige, your senses zianze kukwambia hauna hiki, hauna nini. Okay, anyway, thank you everyone for being part of the conversation. We hope tutaendelea more, but today let's learn something from what Vincent said, that the essence of life, if you are in love, just give the love, live the moments, have gratitude for everything. Don't usikuwe na reservations ati na huyu mzee akiniatbreak ati kulienda hivi nini. No, at that moment you're in love, give all your best, live the moment, cherish each other. Just like kuna kitu mi believe like kwa life unafaa kukua that person who lays flowers kwa life za watu. ukipita just lay a flower. Now by laying a flower, I mean that every time you have to do good things to someone, hata hiyo bad thing yenye msee hata perceive ni bad thing, maybe wewe hiyo ndio kitu imemsaidia. Unaona, kama Vinia hapa anaweza sema ameenda amepata msee ako kwa makosa nini, amshike amcorrect. Kuna wengine ukama unamwambia bedhe afisa, kama si wewe mi ningepigwa risasi, but kuna mwingine atakuwa anamuona huyu msee ati ni mtiaji nini. So it doesn't matter vile una lay flowers kwa life ya mtu, but all that matters ni si wote tunataka the good people in our life, the rich people, the everything in our lives. But as I always ask, are you that person mwenye unataka wengine tukue? Juu unataka tukue juu yako, na sisi unataka saa to feel aje about you. How do you make us feel? Si ni kweli?
Ni kweli Dhura.
Okay, I thank you all for being part of the conversation today. Now, I think we've come to an end of the session. Thank you, Sana Vincent. Your views always matter. Jane, thank you for always being helpful to our conversations. Unajua hata ukiangalia walituko ni kuna hizo age, kuna staircase mahali ndio unasikia Vini kuna issues za account za watu fulani, but mimi na address hawa mayouth man hawa because niko hapo karibu nao, na most of zile vitu nawaambia, most of them wanaweza dhani that maybe ni advice ama nini. No, it's experiences. Maybe nimepitia, beshte yangu amepitia, kunaye anapitia saizi, ni vitu zina happen, but I would just hate to see that someone ameingia kwa mess yenye maybe ningemwambia before, kunaye angesikia na anahepa hiyo noma. So it's our responsibility kwa hii life like hold each other's hands, because hata tukisema like most people are lost, most people are going through mental health issues, ni that most of these people don't know they are doing something wrong, because the society bado ija break hiyo stigma that it's always okay not to be okay. Yani mazee, si lazima ukue sawa kila time. It rains, lazima rain, yani lazima life tu ikuchenge, but haufai ku give up because there's a reason you're living. And as we always say, it's okay not to be okay. Okay, thank you everyone for being part of this conversation.
Thank you.
See you next Wednesday. Vinny, Jane, bye.
Bye. See you too.
Looking forward to it. Bye.
Wow.